Welcome to Money Matters. I'm David Kroll from Mortgage Network, and I'm standing next to Emily Johnson from Polaris Capital, and we're here to bring you Money Matters at the macro level, what's happening around the world and how it impacts our national economy, and in turn how it impacts you in Beaufort County. So we're going to kick off today with Emily having received a precise and painful education on hurricane deductions, and she's going to this is just the kind of topic that really catches everybody in this area at the moment, and it's extremely important that you listen for the next 5 minutes carefully to what she has to say about hurricane losses, the deductibility of hurricane losses, and how this kind of oddball topic works. It's not oddball to all of us. We've just had a hurricane, but it's a very, very interesting topic. So, Emily?
So, we're not kicking off with interest rates today, which is what's the exciting topic that we usually start with.
Interest rates are so
exactly.
interesting.
So not interest rates today. We're changing it up, and so we're going to talk a little bit about tax deductibility when it comes to the hurricane that many of you are probably going to be able to take advantage of, and also wanted to hit on a couple really small planning points that we will discuss every week from now until April 15th, so that you take advantage of all of the little changes that are happening that will allow you to maximize your financial picture little by little. So let's start with tax deductibility when it comes to the hurricane. So believe it or not, you can actually deduct your losses and the measure of loss is a little bit confusing. So I'm not going to get into all of the nuances, but let's just suffice to say that if you have a loss that you have to repair, and we're talking about your home, we're not talking about business, that's a whole other ballgame, but your home specifically. If you have a home or an investment property that has experienced some damage, chances are you have a loss. And that's going to be in the form of the fair market value of the home or property prior to the hurricane and the fair market value after the hurricane, which you can get an appraisal. There's some other ways that you can actually assess what that is. And then from that, of course, you have to take away anything you receive from your insurance. And I know a lot of you out there probably had deductibles high enough that you didn't actually claim anything with your insurance and may have had a $20,000 loss or more that you've actually had to foot the bill for. So take that $20,000, and yes, that was a real kick in the tail, and hopefully you've been able to get everything repaired the way that you wanted to by now, although I'm sure that there's a lot of that still going on too. But let's say you have a $20,000 loss that you're looking at. What you then need to do is subtract $100 from it. Why? It's completely arbitrary. They just IRS picked $100. So then we're at $19,900. If that $19,900 exceeds 10% of your adjusted gross income. So let's say in this scenario, and I wish we had my whiteboard here with me right now.
It's easy.
But let's say
$100,000.
$100,000. So let's say you make $100,000. Your AGI is $100,000, which is adjusted gross income. 10% of that, of course, is $10,000. You get to be Vanna today. So is
$10,000
is $10,000, and our loss, as we just calculated, is $19,900. Therefore, we have a deduction of $9,900. Which ain't bad. As they say, it's not a kick in the teeth or something like that. Mm-hmm. So at least there is some sort of a silver lining when it comes to that. And it's not just your home. Like I said, it's also investment property, other casualty losses if you experienced furniture that was ruined, nice artwork, whatever it might be. Anything that you can actually appraise and have a value that you can argue and stand behind in the event of an audit. Anyway, it's not perfect, and obviously it'll take a while to flesh out what those values are, but you have until you file your taxes in order to claim that, and if by any chance that loss is big enough, you can actually take it back into 2015 as well. So I am not a CPA, and I do not play one on TV.
If your insurance company pays you part of that $19,900, does that come off as well?
Yes, that comes off.
So it's 10% of AGI, and the amount that your insurance company pays you.
Correct. So in my example, the insurance, we didn't have insurance repayment because it was just deductible. But if you have, like in my case, my house is busted, so I have lots and lots of damage to my house, and hopefully if I keep on it, the insurance will eventually pay a portion of it, if not more than a portion of it, to hopefully get it back to where it's supposed to be. Chances are there's still going to be a gap. So it's whatever my gross loss is, my fair market value less the fair market value after the storm and or repairs. But so it's that gross right there, less whatever it is that the insurance pays me, then minus the $100, then over and above the 10% of your AGI. So it sounds a lot more complicated when we don't have a whiteboard in front of us, and the whole point of this conversation,
You're really smart.
Exactly. The point of the conversation, the point of bringing this up is that it's definitely, no matter if you think that if you'd had $7,000 of tree damage and $6,000 of landscaping damage and you think that that's just you just had to pay it and that is just too bad because we live right by the ocean, I would definitely check in with your CPA and make sure that you gather all of that paperwork before you file your taxes, because it's very likely you can get some minute benefit that comes from that. So that was interesting. The other thing that I learned this week is that many policies, if you have an HO3 policy, many policies will actually, if it's over your deductible, and sometimes under, but I'm not clear on this just yet, will actually cover the increase in your, if you live within a plantation, will cover the increased assessment that many of us received because of the hurricane. So if you had the extra $1,000 assessment due to the hurricane and you have a claim that you're filing, call your insurance guy, send them the list of the notice of the increased premium, increased assessment, and it's 100% deductible in many policies. So make sure that you look for that too. I just learned that this week. So 3 months in and we're still learning all kinds of new and fantastic things.
Right.
And since we're on the topic and we're still sort of looking micro, and we're going to get macro in a second where David is going to kick it off, I just wanted to suggest that now as we get into January, just before we start talking about Trump and economics, that you just take a look at what your contributions are to your 401k for the year, what your contributions are to your kids' 529s for the year. By April 15th, you need to determine whether you want to make contributions to IRAs. You don't have to do that right now, but right now is a really great time.
This is for 2016.
Exactly. But right now, since we're into January and you'll probably forget by April, now as you're getting your 1099s and you're gathering all of that paperwork, number one, take a look at your mortgage and make sure that you've actually refied it. There's yeah, there you go. Make sure that you've refied it, and if you haven't, that if you can take advantage of that, go ahead and do that. You can obviously see that when you get your mortgage statement. And your mortgage interest deduction. But also take a look at your existing, if you have a 401k, take a look at your existing contribution amount, consider perhaps increasing that, look at what the maximums are, and the same thing if you don't have a 401k through your employer, if you have an IRA or a Roth IRA, take a look at what your contributions are, look at last year, see is there some way that you might like to increase that for this year as sort of a small goal to increase your savings through those small mechanisms, even if it's just $50 a month. Same thing with your kids' 529 plans.
Between now and April 15th, are you able to bump those up and take the deduction in 2016?
Yes, if you, no. So that's,
the time has gone for 2016.
If you are making contributions to a 401k, then the contributions are here going forward for 2017. So that's a done deal. So you'd want to look at what your contributions were for 2016 and decide whether or not you want to increase them. If you have an IRA, you can still make contributions for 2016 up through April 15th.
Very important.
Yes. You can also make contributions for 2017 at the same time. So
correct.
Not to confuse matters, but those are a few of the things you might want to look at now. And also you've probably had to look at your health savings accounts, flexible spending accounts, those types of things. But if you haven't, take a look at that now. Do it in January. You'll forget by February and moving forward. So as we look at all the really fun tax stuff that's coming down the pike, those are a few things that I'd suggest looking at. And definitely look into the tax deductibility of your of any of your hurricane losses. I attended a seminar on it earlier this week, and I need to give a plug to, it was Carrying Company, CPA is a fellow named Dean Kochnower, that I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who gave the presentation, did an excellent job, and they're definitely worth a phone call. I have the one pager that he gave us that I'm happy to send out with their information if you'd like it. There we go. I plugged you, I plugged the CPA firm. I think I'm good today. So.
You should be extremely proud of yourself. We're going to let Emily do one more bit of micro, and then I'll, in the second half of the show, do world affairs.
Well, I suppose the one bit of micro that it's not micro is the fact
let's look at the markets.
that we hit 20,000.
We hit 20,000.
I mean, that's kind of a big deal. I mean, it's not as big as tax deductibility of
It's not as big as the Patriots.
casualties.
It's not as big as the Patriots being in the Super Bowl,
Right.
but it's big.
And of course, you've got two Yankees here, so that's they're probably going to stone us for that.
Yeah.
But so yes, so the Dow hit 20,000. So that is obviously, we've been waiting for that for a long time. But what's interesting is, as big a deal as that's been, and as we've been waiting for the confetti to go up as soon as the Dow hit 20,000, now that Trump is president, pretty much every single day, all you're hearing about is what's being signed every single day. The 20,000 kind of went, it came and went within a couple of minutes. It happened in the morning, and it was like, well, here we are, and now we're at 20,100. So, so there's our hitting at the micro level, starting to get to the macro, covered a little bit of the markets, and we'll be back in just a second with more Money Matters, and David kicking us off. So please stick with us.